And we are live.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the March meeting. March, I'm sorry, I'm 2 months behind. Welcome to the May meeting of the Board Committee on Academic and Student Affairs. I hereby call the meeting to order. May I ask the secretary to call the quorum, please?
Yes. Regent Bloom,
Present.
Regent James,
Present.
Regent Porth,
Present.
and I would like to recognize our ex officio member, Professor Sisinker, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay. I want to first request a motion to change the order of business to move what is the final item on the agenda, the report from Social Impact Partners, which is item 18, to the first item, because one of our regents may have to leave, and we want all the regents to hear the report. So may I have a motion to change the order of the agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The order of the agenda is changed. Now may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. I want to make, before we start, I just want to make a few introductory remarks. If you look at this agenda for the May meeting, it represents in many ways the culmination of what we do. We have the awards for the students and faculty who have carried us and performed well and provided the services that and for the students that we all want. We have a report from Social Impact Partners, which in part talks about future directions, the goals that we want to achieve in academic and student success, and some of the ways we may get there, and how it connects with statewide goals. And we have the items of coming from the campuses for approval of programs. This really represents what we're about. And in spite of what other things may be flying around, this is what this enterprise is about, and this is what we all seek to accomplish. So I think this agenda, the scope of this agenda, even though it looks daunting, reflects what we're about and what we're trying to do. So, and we will continue to do that. So, I want to introduce Chris Rivers, who will be presenting the report from Social Impact Partners, commissioned by the Chancellor quite a ways back, and see where we are. Chris?
Thank you, Ira. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's for some reason not letting me actually share it.
I can share it if you need it.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the presentation. So what I'm going to walk through and take a few minutes is really a executive summary view of a much larger investment case report that is about 75 pages long that has been making it rounds throughout the institutions and whatnot. And I actually brought the entire Social Impact Partner team who did a lot of the work with me today, so you can hear directly from the people who led the different sections. And they'll take a couple minutes each to go through each of the sections and walk through it. And then we'll happily answer any questions. This report we still view as being in draft form. So as we continue to received feedback from institutions, from committees, from different stakeholder groups within CSU. It is certainly still at a point to be amended. And our hope is that it will be adopted and move forward and really make significant impact for students all throughout the system. So if we can go to the next slide.
Okay, so if I just want to add, if I may, the report today is for informational purposes, and as Chris said, it's still a work in progress. The text is available in the package, the Regent's agenda. So if people want to see this in quote in print, it is included.
Yep. Thank you for that call, Ira. And I'll also say the slides that you're about to see, most of them have references to what pages in the report to go reference if you want more details on what's in the slide for the most part. So just beginning, we understand that CSU exists to serve students. Several of us on the team are alumni of the system in a few different ways. And when we really started doing this research, it was quickly apparent how many lives CSU's impacts every single year, serving 65,000 students in any given time, the vast majority of whom are Connecticut residents, the vast majority of whom stay in Connecticut. So we really have come to believe what we already believe, which is CSU holds a really unique position in Connecticut to make a difference for a ton of people all throughout the state and for the state itself. So if we can go to the next slide. Our approach over basically the last year was to try to figure out what in the system, across the entire system, should be some strategic priorities to make a difference, really focus on the student journey. So we did that by launching into data-driven assessments, and we did that through launching a pretty massive stakeholder engagement process where we talked to over 600 individuals at every institution. And we did that in order to really come up with what you're about to see, which is what should the cross-cutting strategic priorities for investment be? And we were happy to provide this work to the CSU completely pro bono. And we were very happy to partner with leaders all throughout CSU to figure out what is a good path forward to impact not just students, but faculty, staff, families, employers, the state itself. We really feel like CSU should be the engine that is really impacting a ton of lives all throughout the state. But we very purposely took a student-centric approach. So if we can go to the next slide. And here's our very, very basic high-level framework that we really looked at from both a data-driven assessment and from the stakeholder engagement perspective. We really tried to understand what is driving enrollment trends, what is driving retention trends and completion trends. And the more we dug into that, the more those two things start looking an awful lot alike, i.e. students who stay in the system do complete. So those two things are getting combined in our ultimate findings. And then how are students finding the journey for what comes next after CSU, whether that means employment, whether that means transition to a higher level academic program, all that we view as good. And what we really identified was there's real opportunities here all throughout the system to do different things along the student journey that would, I think, really move the needle. And if we can go to the next slide. This is where I'll hand it over to Rob, who really has taken the lead for our team on the data-driven assessment and trying to figure out what are those pain points that we really need to address. So Rob, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. So I'm going to breeze through our key findings across these key dimensions. It'll be pretty quick, but for more detail, you can reference the report. So let's start with enrollment. CSCU has seen a much steeper decline than other colleges in the state. When we look at the first year enrollment since 2019, we've seen that CSU enrollment is down 22%, and the community colleges are down 7%. This contrasts with UConn's main campus, which has grown 16%, and even the private colleges, which for the purposes of this report, we exclude Yale, Trinity, Wesleyan, and a few others, have also seen gains. This is a real concern for CSU's long-term stability, and a few key reasons stand out. First of all, when we address demographics, we see that, yes, there is a decline in college-age population, but it's not so much of a catastrophic cliff. It is more of a slow and continued decline. Other institutions are growing in the state, so they are experiencing the same environment as well. In addition to that, Connecticut does have some of the highest public tuition rates in the country, and we've observed it provides more limited financial aid, and this could be making college less accessible. Third, we've also seen in some of our qualitative research that some students aren't necessarily seeing a clear value in the career outcomes from the CSU degree, and there could be some more improvements there. And then finally, there are strong, in fact, unusually strong private options in the state, and this does increase competition. So overall, these enrollment declines are making CSU's future less secure. To the next slide, please. More improvements there. Okay, there are strong. So when it comes to completion and retention, the two areas that we've sort of combined together for the purposes of our report, we have found that too many CSU students are starting college, but are not able to finish it for some reason. At the 2-year level, only about 17% of CT State students are graduating within 3 years, and that's well below the New England average, and even further behind New York, which is at 26%. Moving to the 4-year level, about 50% of CSU graduates graduate within 6 years, but that's about 80% at UConn and 74% at private colleges. And the key drivers that we've looked at to really kind of push on for these dimensions are in a couple areas. For the 2 years, we've noticed that CT State has more part-time students, and part-time students are less likely to complete. And then on the CSU side, CSU does enroll more low-income students, which is great. But many of these students, we believe, face additional barriers to success at CSU, and that is driving a difference in graduation rates for low-income or Pell Grant students, where 70% of low-income students at UConn graduate, but only 40% of CSU students graduate. So we believe that closing these gaps is really going to require stronger student support to help more students finish and thrive. Next slide, please. So the last dimension we're looking at is in outcomes. And we've observed that CSU graduates are earning significantly less than their peers in Connecticut, and this is limiting economic mobility. On the associate degree side, and looking at the CT State graduates, we've observed that they're earning about $15,000 less 5 years post-graduation than their peers from the smaller set of 2-year peer institutions within the state. And for 4-year CSU bachelor grads, they're earning about $12,000 less than UConn grads and $6,000 or $7,000 less than grads from private 4-year institutions. So a few key drivers that we're looking at to potentially explain this gap. For one, the private colleges have more students in high demand and high paying fields, about 10 to 15% more than CSU. These are a set of what we kind of defined as high impact career oriented majors. And that feeds into the second potential driver, which is that CSU has a higher share of students in general arts, general studies and liberal arts degrees, and these often lead to lower wages if they're not combined with further career-oriented education. And then finally, and particularly when assessing CSU compared to UConn, we've observed that UConn does invest more in career supports, such as internships and advising, and they're seeing above average participation from students. So more career supports can help drive better career outcomes, and we're seeing that at UConn. So we have observed a bright spot at CSU when it comes to these career-oriented programs. We have observed that when CSU is investing in programs like this, particularly in the kind of manufacturing tracks, students are seeing better results. So this is great news. But overall, the gaps in outcomes are holding back graduates' earning potential and mobility. Next slide, please. So after completing the quantitative assessment that I walked through pretty quickly and the more expansive qualitative stakeholder assessments, we identified 5 strategic priorities for CSU. And these are really what we're going to walk through in more detail as the investment opportunities that CSU can really look to fast track improvements for students with. And for the first one, I will turn it over to Nebs on the team, who's really been leading our efforts around early college. So take it away, Nebs.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Hello, everybody. My name is Nebs, or Nabiyu Daniel. Really, my focus for this project was looking at the pipeline from high school to college. It really focused on early college. And as some of you may know, Connecticut is one of the first states to implement early college, or sometimes it's called dual enrollment, over 70 years ago. But our state has fallen significantly behind since. Connecticut ranks nearly at the bottom in early college or dual enrollment participation. Um, and what dual enrollment, or sometimes you'll also hear it referred to as concurrent enrollment, enables high school students to do is it allows them to take courses and earn college credit while they're in high school. And taking these courses, it can happen on a college campus, at the high school, or online. And this mixed modality system is really important to ensuring that there's equitable access to our rural communities and underserved communities as well. But these courses can be delivered in any setting, as in the college setting, at the high school, or online. And what our team did was we conducted a landscape analysis looking at dual enrollment programs across the country, focused on states like Colorado, Maine, and Oregon. And what these studies showed us is that there's a significant correlation between college attendance, improved retention, college preparedness, and job placement. So dual enrollment programs are one of the most cost-effective ways to really expand college access and college readiness. And this is especially true for first-generation and low-income students. So based on this research, our team is recommending a bold but achievable goal of expanding dual enrollment participation in Connecticut from the current rate of about 7% of high school students earning some sort of college credit to 25% of high school students earning some sort of college credit within the next 5 years. And this can really only be done through a systematized and centralized funding source. So that means that this will require significant buy-in, not only from the CSCU and CT State, but also the State Department of Education and high schools across the state. So our recommendation is really to launch, and I know this is something that your team has already started to work on, but to launch a statewide dual enrollment program that starts as early as ninth grade. Currently, this is only being offered to 11th and 12th graders, and with a strong emphasis on career pathway alignment. We believe that this is really key to ensuring that students don't just earn any type of credit or random acts of dual enrollment, but rather earn credit that count towards a degree or meaningful careers. For the implementation part of this, we've done a detailed phased rollout plan, and I'm happy to dive into that a bit deeper at another meeting. But that really starts with a pilot phase focused on the 6 high-need districts, serving about 2,000 students within the first 2 years. And then by year 3, we're hoping to expand to the 36 alliance districts, reaching around 21,000 students. And by year 5, we hope to hit our target of reaching 25% of all high school students, or about 40,000 students annually earning college credits while they're still in high school. We've estimated that the first 2-year pilot phase will cost approximately $11 million. And at full scale, where you're reaching about 40,000 students annually, that will require an estimated $70 million annual investment. Now I'm going to pass it on to Trisha to talk more about our other recommendations that focus on student success while they're enrolled at CSCU.
Thanks, Ned. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as my colleague Rob talked about the retention and graduation rates problem, we really believe that CSCU can help students stay on track and get to the finish line in a timely fashion with a program that we're calling the Accelerated Completion Track, or ACT for short. ACT, which is modeled after the City University of New York ASAP and ACE programs, provide comprehensive student support that remove barriers to full-time enrollment. And so the primary goal of ACT is to really move the needle on converting students from part-time to full-time. The highly regarded research organization MDRC has proven that comprehensive student support programs like the one that we're recommending can dramatically improve degree attainment for students. Hence, 2 noteworthy benefits of ACT are higher graduation rates and higher transfer rates to 4-year schools. Some of the key components of ACT include dedicated staffing. So we're talking about coaches who provide students with holistic, proactive advising, and directors who oversee coaches as well as ensure program fidelity. There are financial incentives built in so that students are rewarded for meeting milestones, such as completing X number of credits or achieving certain GPAs. There is a full-time enrollment requirement, and students are strongly encouraged to complete within 3 years if they're at a community college, and 4 years at the CSUs. And so the final key component are cohorts, and we know that cohorts are a secret sauce that really helps to build a strong sense of community and belonging, and to reduce isolation and increase peer accountability among students. We are recommending 3 modifications to the CUNY model. The first is a low advisor to student ratio, so approximately 75 students to 1 advisor or 1 coach, to really allow for high touch support as opposed to 1 advisor to hundreds of students. The second is a robust bridge program to prepare students for not only the rigor of higher ed, but also an accelerated track. And finally, state-funded financial support to cover the gap that's left after the needs-based award is applied. In terms of implementation, we do recommend a phased rollout of ACT at both CT State and the 4 years. And so we envision during the first year launching the initial pilot cohorts with 1,250 students, and 1,000 of those students coming from CT State and the remainder CSU. We would review student outcomes and modify the program if needed before the second year starts. And we anticipate that the estimated cost for year 1, again, across CT State and CSU would be $4.4 million. For years 2 to 6, which is when we would begin to scale the program, CT State would ultimately serve 10,500 students by year 6, and CSUs would serve 1,650 students by year 6, bringing the total number of students served annually to 12,150. And at full scale, the annual investment increases from 4.4 million to 35 million. And the cost projection does not include funding for tuition, fees, or books. And now I'm going to turn it over to Michael, who will speak to our financial aid recommendations.
You're on mute, Michael.
I'm sorry. My name is Michael Van Leesten, and I participated primarily in the this stakeholder engagement process, which included a lot of focus groups, including a lot of focus groups with students. So one of our recommendations is a significant increase in financial aid, and this kind of makes intuitive sense when you think of the effect that that has on increasing enrollment, because it makes it more affordable or accessible. It would increase retention because it makes it easier to stay in school, and that would follow with increasing graduation rates. We're proposing a $24 million increase in financial aid on top of what already exists. That's primarily going to the CSUs, and it's approximately $1,000 per full-time equivalent student. The realized benefit, annual economic benefit of doing this at scale would be about $58 million per year. What this is comprised of is higher wages for the students because they've graduated, less reliance on social services because they are economically or financially more prosperous, and also things like lower incarceration rates, etc. This translates, if you want to look at per student, this translates over the 10-year period after they graduate. We estimated that this would be a $400,000 benefit to an individual over the 10-year period after graduation. All that said, in order for this to work optimally, the increase in financial aid should be accompanied by 2 key concepts or ideas. The first is that The aid should be tailored based on the specific needs of the individuals attending the school. So it may be need-based, it may be merit-based, or a mix of those things. That would be for the institutions to decide. And also, and probably just as importantly, and I certainly could have used this when I was in college, having deeply integrating this process into the advisory services, and in particular, making sure that there's a strong financial literacy component to this, so students understand the implications of whatever financial aid package they are receiving, especially the long-term implications. So there's more that you can read about this in the report, and of course we'll have Q&A afterwards. But with that, I will turn it over to Alicia, who is going to introduce you to our workforce development career pathways recommendations.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Michael. This morning, I'm going to talk to you about 2 career readiness initiatives. In our discussions with students, a theme we heard consistently is that career readiness and securing good jobs are their priorities. The data Rob shared with you earlier showed that not enough students are achieving this. To help address this problem, we're recommending an investment in innovative career pathway programs. Innovation can mean modifications to existing programs or something new, but in either case, resources needed to support change. We know there are a lot of smart people with good ideas within CSCU, so we're proposing a system-wide competitive grant process for innovative programming. Grant proposals could be evaluated on labor market alignment, employer relationships. These employer relationships are key to understand the skills and knowledge needed to build into curriculum development, and most importantly, for opportunities for students for work-based learning, which can include job shadowing, guest lecturers, apprenticeships, internships, and capstone projects. It's really critical for the programs to have strong advising, both academic and career advising. And other criteria that could be considered would be cross-institution collaboration, including looking at transfer policies, stackability of credentials, and credit for prior learning. Incorporating these best practices into career pathways innovation will make a meaningful difference to students. They'll increase completion rates, make the students significantly more likely to get employment in their chosen field, and increase earnings both immediate and lifetime. The initial funding would be invested in program development and some student support, including tuition assistance. Ongoing funding would be more focused on the student support, but potentially additional innovation. If we can go to the next slide, please. The second initiative I'm going to talk about is launching a workforce development coalition, which will focus on short-term training, specifically training less than a year. While there's some strong programming and resource currently focused on non-credit at CT State and the CSUs, we're recommending a structure that will better engage employers and attract funding. The Workforce Development Coalition would be a partnership between CSCU, the Office of Workforce Strategy, employers, the Department of Labor, and the Workforce Development Boards. The programs will primarily serve 2 groups of students. It would offer pre-hire training to the underemployed, providing industry skills and credentials to help them get better jobs, and incumbent workers who need additional skills to adapt to changing job requirements or progress in their careers. The programming will tie into the Career Pathways program I spoke about a few minutes ago by connecting short-term training to educational pathways. The focus of the coalition will be expanding and replicating what we're doing really well already and working with employers to better understand what their needs are to build new programming. We'll take learnings from the model we've seen in Maine's Harold Alphonse Center, part of their community college system, where they've trained over 25,000 workers and have over 1,700 employer partners. Their budget this year is over $250 million for short-term training, which is funded by a combination of state, philanthropy, and employer participation. We believe we can replicate their funding model with a similar mix of sources. The initial funding will support the development of the structure of the coalition and engaging partners, especially key employers. Year 2 would include training of up to 1,500 participants, and ongoing funding would support training of up to 5,000 people per year. And now I'm going to turn it over to Chris to wrap us up.
And if we can go to the next slide, the money slide, quite literally. So we basically just walked through the 5 major investment areas, the areas where we think those investments would see impact along the student journey. And each slide had the intentionally broken out what we think a true pilot would cause based on our modeling, and what we think a real path to scaling over a 6-year time period, being 3 biannual budgets. And we use our modeling to figure out what would be the net economic benefit of those investments, because we didn't want to put things forward that wouldn't be positioned well to be sold for scaling at the state legislature. And so the thing I want to make clear on this side is these numbers look big, especially considering the recent budget battles and whatnot. And we as a state have a really bad tendency to ask organizations within state government at any level to do more with their operating budget. These recommendations, to be clear from our perspective, are meant to be in addition to the current operating budgets. So particularly the pilot investments are, I think, what we need an early commitment on to really pilot things and really prove it out. And then I think the 6-year overall scaling investment is meant to use that pilot as a proof case to work with the state legislature to see what the realistic opportunity for scaling is. This is all based on our modeling, and there's an awful lot of wiggle room on the implementation side to scale certain things up, scale certain things down, but still have a net positive impact. But I just want to make it super clear for this group that our recommendation is for these pilots and the overall investments to be net increases, not to be taken out of operating budgets. And I believe our last slide is just a thank you slide. And I think we all have really loved doing this work and are super excited about the near term and long term future for CSU. And so with that, the entire team is here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to the team. I'm going to ask the regents if we have a few questions that we want. This is obviously going to take a lot more thought and study and meetings and development. So this is not, and that's why this is, and as Chris said earlier, this is not even the final. Social impact partners are still working on the draft, on the report. So, but this is to provide everyone with a sense of what the future course could be for CSCU. As I said before, we have the present, the past, and the future, and this is a proposal as a part of a pathway to the future. Questions from the regents?
Ira, it's Rick.
Yes.
I do have, first of all, I want to say thank you. I know all of you put a lot of work into this, and it's very thoughtful, and the analysis is very careful, and I believe really, really helpful to us. So thank you to our friends at Social Impact Partners. In particular, am very excited about the recommendations related to early college, dual enrollment, new ways into access to higher education. I love the recommendations around student support and also career pathways and workforce development. And I appreciate it, because I believe those are things we need to do. You, in identifying the challenges we face, your written report, which is also excellent, provides a little more context. When we make comparisons to other places, that context you provide in your written report talks about the fact of access, the fact that we are a place that up to 25% of Connecticut students go. And many of our students are different than students in some of the other institutions in Connecticut. For example, they tend to deal more often with family responsibilities, outside job responsibilities, and everything that goes with that. And I just want, when we talk about this going forward, I hope we could add that context into it as we have done as you have done in the written report, which I think it helps to explain and maybe advise us or guide us on the things that can work best. So, for example, you point out in your written report how we compare to other institutions with regard to part-time students versus full-time students. That's an area we need to really focus on. And I think your recommendations do that. But I would like if we could be more explicit about that in talking about the need to enable students, to empower students to be able to afford, and not only in terms of money, but the time necessary to complete their education. I guess I just again want to say thank you. I hope we can always talk about the context behind some of the challenges we face so that it's clear to potential investors why these things are the way they are, at least a good part of the explanation, and why an investment really will make a difference for thousands of people in the state. Ira, that was more like a speech, not less a question, but I apologize, but I get excited about this. I think it's really good work, and I so appreciate this. At some point, yeah, whether today or at some other point, I'd love to get advice from social impact partners on how we proceed, how we get folks to invest in these really good recommendations. And I'll stop there. Thanks, Ira. Thanks, everybody. Good work.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Other questions from the regents, comments?
Comments. Thank you very much, because I think as particularly members of this committee, we on a regular basis have been listening to and observing from our faculty the innovations, the modifications that they are constantly making to not only improve access, but the relevance and the of the course offerings and how we have been approaching the whole educational component of the full institution. I appreciate the amount of work that you did in terms of really speaking to and listening to all of the different constituents, because I do feel that at times people feel that they're not being heard. And I'm hoping that people feel like they're being heard. But what I appreciate most is the way you've been able to connect the entire process from beginning to end. How strategies to improve access for enrollment and strategies to improve retention, what needs to be invested in order for us to improve our completion rates, as well as prepare a pathway for our students to be successful. I like the clarity of the end-to-end process. I'm a firm believer in the support systems that you are recommending in order to make that a reality and not just a concept. And one of the things, Rick, in terms of our thinking about this process was we wanted to first hear it in this committee so that we could hear feedback, where there's alignment, where there might still be some concerns, because then the next step is we need to take it to the finance committee of the board.
Mhm.
And I think one of our biggest challenges has been the ability to clearly articulate the things that we're doing and how they contribute to the future success and the investments that need to be made, because there are a lot of barriers for us to execute the aspirations that we have as an institution. And I like the fact that this lays out that groundwork. So the next step really is for us to be able to go to the finance committee, but hopefully with the knowledge of how did this committee respond, to these recommendations, and to build that then into a presentation to the full board of regents, because we need to get the full board bought in. And then we need to really educate the legislature on why this is an investment. We've been saying it, and I think we've been saying it sort of as individual committees, but I think we need to have, it's the cohesiveness of this that I think might help us, push it forward this time. And I'm very glad, Chris, that you articulated these investments are not out of operating support, they are additional investments, because I do think that that's been a bone of contention for us as a system for a very, very long time. Last thing I'm going to say, and I know I'm making a speech as opposed to asking a question. I have seen firsthand from my former role the benefit of putting together these cohort programs with these comprehensive support services and how it impacts and improves both the retention and the graduation rate for the students who can access these services. So we have those examples where we've seen it work. The question is how we scale it. And I like your financial model to really articulate what's the pilot, what do we need, how do we scale it, over what period of time. So thank you very much. I think it's very well done.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything you want to add?
I always just like starting and ending everything with the spirit of gratitude. So, the social impact partner team put forward a lot of work, and thank you to the team who did it. Also, a lot of time and energy came from leaders all throughout CSCU. And I want to make sure that we just annotate that and just say thank you to all leaders who gave us time, feedback, ideas. I think there's a ton of really talented people all throughout the system, and just empowering them to do more will have outsized impact. So super excited, and thank you for the time and energy, and look forward to questions
Chair
as we
Bloom.
go through the process.
I think the questions at this point should come from the committee members. This will be further, as Reason James said, further discussed at the Finance Committee and another. I have one question and one comment. I have two, but one is there is limited mention of the role of remote instruction here, of hybrid courses, and where, and certainly given the student situation, my own experience is, I'm not necessarily agreeing with that, but many of the students want the remote courses because they don't have to travel to the college. They can fit this in, etc. So that was one comment. The other comment, and I think you and I have talked about this in earlier conversations, the value of the liberal arts core, or the value of general knowledge about, is something that is kind of not emphasized. And more and more people obviously want graduates, employees, etc., who are who understand the world and have to deal with the world, which is getting more complicated by the day. So I don't know if you have any comments you want to make about that, Chris.
Yeah, Ira, I think two quick thoughts here. One on hybrid virtual learning, whatnot. I think there is work to be done to really understand how students want to arrive to their education. For some students that we've talked to, more online, more hybrid would really benefit all their other obligations they're wrestling with, some of which we quickly mentioned in discussion. Another group of students really wants their Institute of Higher Ed to provide a sanctuary from the busyness of work life and family life and obligations and whatnot, so they can focus on their studying. So I don't think it's as clear cut as everything needs to move towards online or everything needs to remain in person at all costs. I think it's one of the things that, as we talk about having more resources for innovation, to constantly be working with students and the faculty who are on the front lines to not just figure out the right mix of programming and the modality in which it's delivered, but also really try to figure out the best practices for each modality. Because I think what we heard from some students and some faculty all throughout the process was that this is oversimplification. COVID happens, everyone went online, and not everyone is, from a faculty or student perspective, is really well suited to do their course or their program online. Some are better suited than others, and sharing those lessons learned would be hugely helpful back and forth. And so that's the kind of modality idea. And I just think in the innovation work, I think there is funding to kind of constantly be researching and delivering not just modality, but also timeframes, weekend classes and schedulings and all that sort of
Yes,
stuff that
all
we have a
that.
lot of anecdotal stories to, but more systematized studies would be really beneficial. And then what was the second part?
The liberal arts
Yep.
components.
So I think what we're saying isn't that, and I know our investment area is definitely biased towards more workforce, career ready, experiential learning, choose your favorite category of words there. And I think that's because we fully recognize the value of liberal arts and the pathway to education. Most of us on the team are liberal arts trained. But what we've seen is the programs, to include the liberal arts programs that are more connected to a specific career outcome, tends to be the programs that have better outcomes, and to include graduation rates, retention rates, and actual job outcomes or further transfers. So, there is a huge need, I think, especially in the what is coming to the economy in terms of AI and everything else, for philosophers and English majors and history experts and whatnot. That need isn't going away, but the more programs that can lean into certificates or minors or experiential learning that connects those traditional liberal arts backgrounds with the sort of current market needs are the ones that are being far more successful. And I think that's, again, an area, if you're going to look at additional money for innovation, that would be an area I would strongly recommend to look at, is how to make traditional liberal arts be really impactful in today's marketplace, and to always connect those dots. And I just want to say, for everyone here, some programs within CSU do it far better than others. So we're not saying everyone is doing it terribly. We're not saying everyone's doing it amazingly. There are lessons to be learned even within our own system.
Yeah. And lessons to be learned from other systems, as you pointed out. And I mean, I'm somewhat familiar with the CUNY model, which I think has worked very well. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Chair Bloom,
Yes.
we do have two hands raised. One is ex officio member Charlene Casamento, and the other is ex officio Kalina Sasanker.
Well, Professor Sasanker is an ex officio on this committee. So, Professor Sasanker.
Thank you. So it's great that we're having this conversation about liberal arts, because we're actually having the last of 3 streamlined, targeted liberal arts programs for the community college to be approved today.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. I just want to, I know there isn't a lot of time, or there wasn't a lot of time in this presentation to really get into sort of certain kinds of details, but I know, for example, the ASAP program at CUNY was very successful for some students, but there are some elements of that data that, there's always this segment of students who are the most vulnerable, who tend to kind of like drop out. So I know that there's some nuance to that data, but then also, having had that experience, we already know that. I'm sure that there are ways that we can address what was learned from that. Would love to have that conversation with you. So I just want to put out there, if we could have a little bit of that conversation with some of us who've been thinking about these things at FAC, at the Faculty Advisory Committee meeting, either the next or the one after, would really be appreciated. So just making that request, and thank you.
Thank you. We could go on with this all morning, but I think we have, unfortunately, we have other business. So Chris, thank you and your team. This was a very valuable. I think we have many more conversations to go as we talk about implementing these recommendations. But as I said at the beginning, this is part of the path to the future, and part of what, and I think you've made a valuable contribution in helping us think through that. So thank you. with the agreement of my fellow committee members, I think we can move forward. Okay. Next item of
I
the
didn't
agenda.
realize it was on you. Thank you. And obviously more conversations to be had. And I see
Yeah.
conversations also going on in the chat room. So fortunately, this isn't the last committee that will be having this conversation
Right.
in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your work. Thank you.
Okay. First item next item is the Board of Regents Faculty Awards. Again, as I said at the beginning, I think that the next group of items are a testament to what is being accomplished now, and the high quality of the work of many of the faculty and many of the students in the system. Dr. Diamond, do you want to talk a bit about the Regents Faculty Awards?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. You're going to see Regent Bloom and I play a little bit of tennis back and forth through these next couple of items here, but I just want to start off with acknowledging our faculty awards, the information you can find on page 7 of your packet. The Board of Regents Faculty Awards were established in May of 2013 to honor junior faculty across CSCU institutions who demonstrate excellence in both teaching and research. This year, we are proud to recognize the nominees and award recipients from across CSU and the CT state system.
Can I have a motion to approve the Board of Regents Faculty Awards?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Again, as I said in connection to the SIP report, there is much more detailed background in the materials, and it is worth reading to see what the in detail about some of the accomplishments that we are talking about.
Yeah.
The next item, the faculty research grants. May I have a motion to approve the faculty research grants?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Diamond, here's the lob it back to you.
Absolutely. The CSU AAUP faculty research grants promote the research and creative work of the CSU faculty members. Over the years, these grants have led to the publication of impactful books and scholarly articles and contributions to instructional excellence throughout the CSU system.
Motion to approve the item. We have the motion. All in favor of approving the item?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Faculty research grants are approved. Next, we have students' accomplishments. The recognizing the CSCU Phi Theta Kappa All Connecticut Academic Team. Dr. Diamond?
Yep. Today, we celebrate the 23 CT state students who were named to the Phi Theta Kappa All Connecticut Academic Team, as well as the Coca-Cola Academic Team and the New Century Scholars. These honors highlight the outstanding achievements of the 2024-2025 All Connecticut Team and the support of their advisor, Professor Todd Brida.
Questions? All in favor of approving?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The Phi Theta Kappa academic team is approved. 2025 Henry Bernard Award recipients. Dr. Diamond?
The Henry Bernard Distinguished Student Award recognizes and celebrates the 12 exceptional students from Connecticut State Universities who have maintained a minimum 3.7 GPA and demonstrated a strong commitment to voluntary service within their universities and local communities.
I think the important component of this is not just the academic level, but the commitment to service to the community, which is another matter that we would, I think, want to encourage in as much as we can. Motion to approve.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried. The CSCU promotions and tenures. This is again a report on the accomplishments, the recommendations coming from the campuses for faculty promotion and award of tenure to faculty members. This is again, in different ways, important recognition of the work of the faculty and the continuity of the faculty. Dr. Diamond, do you want to say anything about this?
I do. Great congratulatory remarks going to our colleagues who have who are receiving promotion and tenure. We celebrate and recognize all of these accomplishments and significant milestones of the promotion and tenure recipients, honoring their dedication to excellence in teaching, research, and service across the 4 CSU institutions.
Thank you. Again, this is a very important part of the building of faculty and building the kind of instruction and programs that we want to see. So, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I thought that was
Opposed?
an introduction only. I didn't know we needed to approve that one.
We do, yes, that one we have
You
to
do?
approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
It's a consequence of the differences in the contracts between the faculty in the CSUs and the faculty at the community college. So the CSUs we do approve. The community college promotions and tenures, which are item 8, is for information only. I don't know if Dr. Diamond, you want to say a bit about that? Or?
I definitely do. So keeping in the same vein of congratulations, we would love to recognize the CT State faculty and staff awarded promotion and tenure for their exceptional professional growth and service and celebrate their outstanding contributions to CT State. One additional piece of information for all of these awards for promotion and tenure, I want to additionally thank, and I will thank them again at the board meeting, the committees that are involved in this work is unbelievably important. It is long hours. It is a lot of material. If you've ever sat on these committees, it is very hard work to go through all of this information and decide who receives these awards, and going through promotion and tenure packets is quite a time commitment. So congratulations and thank you so much to the committees as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I can second that. Having done that, it is a very intensive process, and there's a lot of judgment involved by the faculty committees. And to their credit, these judgments usually turn out to be quite good. So it's okay. Item 9, sabbatical leaves, also for information only. Dr. Diamond. The ball is back in your court.
Just again, more recognitions and congratulations, but in particular, the faculty who have been awarded sabbatical. This is to support their dedicated time for renewal and research development, which is very critical to the work that they do.
And I think, again, if you look at some of the projects that are involved, which are in the dauntingly large package, I think people will appreciate, as Dr. Diamond said, some of the work that, and some of the work is path-breaking. I mean, some of the work is really significant and important. So this does not need a motion. So thank you for that, Dr. Diamond. Item 10, Emeritus Awards.
Yep. This year we have emeritus awardees from Southern, from Western, and from CT State, and we want to thank them for their outstanding and exemplary service to their institutions.
Okay. And we thank them. We do thank them. I hope that the May meeting is really, in many ways, should be celebratory regarding the accomplishments of, and I hope that at the full board meeting, there will be an opportunity for at least a few of the people involved to be present and to make some comment. So thank you. Southern Connecticut. State University. Okay, is Provost Irwin present?
I am present, and I apologize for
Welcome.
joining late. We are undergoing a presidential search.
Yes, yeah. So we appreciate your presence, and would you like to make the academic report?
Yes, so I'd like to begin by talking about enrollment. Our undergraduate full-time and part-time enrollment are both up. So our percent change for full-time is 3.33% at last count, and part-time is 17%. Our graduate enrollment for full-time is up 12% as well. I want to add in that our early college is chugging along. 120 students deposited in early college, which is a 23% yield of eligible students. Last year, we served 2,800 early college students. We anticipate 3,600 next year. I have another piece of information that's less positive, which is our NetMeg State National Science Foundation LSAMP grant was canceled on Friday, May 2nd. This $3.2 million grant is at Eastern, Central, Western, Southern, providing cohort at each and cooperation among for exposing minority students to STEM. I want to thank my colleagues at these institutions just mentioned because they've been working really hard with us. And their people have been incredible. So it's been a really great collaborative effort.
Yeah, and a very unfortunate outcome with what has been happening. I think we will have we will need to talk about some of these issues as we see what happens during the next few weeks with what is happening. But I mean, congratulations for the effort, and thanks. And as I say, an unfortunate outcome beyond our control here. Discontinuations, the first items, 11B, recreation and leisure studies.
Right. So the recreation and leisure studies degree name was changed to recreational therapy last year with BOR approval. One of the existing concentrations under the original name was park and recreation management. This concentration is discontinued because of the newly focused degree program in recreational therapy. So to accommodate those students who may want to pursue careers centered on recreational sports and health in lieu of RLS, a new concentration, sport, rec, and wellness was developed and now is an option. So I guess what I wanted to point out about this particular set of curricula, it is all within a department, and it's just kind of moving around the concentrations to serve students.
This seems like, if I may, a kind of shift from emphasis on passive recreation to emphasis on active recreation. Is that
I
a
think that's
reason?
appropriate. And what I would say from where I sit is it feels like that we are moving in many different areas towards something called wellness, which I think is quite popular for students. And so that there are programs in public health as well. There are programs developing in wellness. So I think it's not that we are discontinuing something and not giving an option. We're just kind of moving the emphasis.
Questions from the regents?
No, I think it's a good move.
Yeah. Motion to approve item 11B1.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
11B1, discontinuation recreation leisure services approved. Next item is your certificate in sustainability leadership, also recommended for discontinuation.
Yeah,
Dr.
so
Rowe.
I have we have on the call Dr. Patrick Heidkamp, who has some expertise in a number of the items that we'll be talking about today, including environmental marine science concentration changes and geography changes. So I'll ask Dr. Heidkamp to talk about to talk about the sustainability leadership certificate.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so the sustainability leadership certificate was an initiative that we started a number of years ago when we had a faculty member who we hired. Was very interested in creating something for our students that are on campus. It was primarily geared towards non-majors in our department, the Department of Environment, Geography, Marine Sciences. Reality is the majority of the people that were ever enrolled in the leadership certificate were our own majors. So it was really just another certificate for the people that were already getting a degree in environmental sciences, environmental studies. In addition to that, with the departure of the faculty member who started the leadership certificate program, we actually lost the expertise to teach those sustainable leadership courses that are part of the certificate, and we haven't been able to refill a position with that expertise. And we also had to, because our department shrank in size in terms of faculty overall from 11 to 7, we had to refocus what we're actually doing. And the number one goal was to get our new master's program in coastal resilience off the ground. Quite frankly, if you think in terms of enrollment and things like that, the sustainability leadership certificate served students that were already at Southern, whereas the new CRM program attracts new students. And so for us, that's more exciting. I think it is better for enrollment. The initial goal of attracting students from different majors to get a sustainability expertise really hasn't happened with the leadership certificate as we had it initially intended. We do have quite a few people taking relevant minors, marine studies, environmental studies. So I think it's not necessary to offer that. It just confuses the curriculum, in my opinion.
Questions from the regents?
I just want to make a comment. I want to make sure I'm not on mute. I just want to make a comment. I think one of the things about innovation is that we start things with the intention of what we hope they will accomplish. I admire the discipline to also say it's not accomplishing exactly what we wanted and being willing to move in a different direction. So I commend you for, because I know these decisions are very well thought out, and appreciate the thoughtfulness that goes into them.
Thank you. Motion to approve the discontinuation of the certificate.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Okay, modifications, clinical mental health counseling, MS. The modification, in the MS program, appears to be to move from in-person to hybrid model. Do you want to talk a bit about Dr. Irwin?
I do. So clinical mental health counseling is one of our very popular programs in terms of growth. We are working toward finalizing accreditation, and we have far more students than we can accept. So we're really excited about this one. The move is to hybrid. And the question was, are online courses offered synchronously or asynchronously? Asynchronously, sorry, it's been a day. And the answer is both. So we have 8 synchronous sections and 4 asynchronous sections. So it's a bit of a combination for that program. And as has been discussed on this call, students, especially getting a graduate degree, often want more flexibility.
Yep.
Comments or questions from the regents? Motion to approve the modification.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aye.
Approved. Motion is carried. Modification in philosophy.
Similarly, philosophy will move to hybrid, some online and some on ground.
Okay. And any comments or questions? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Favor. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Master of Public Health. This is Roman 3, changing the code, I guess. Dr. Irwin.
Um, is it possible for me to ask to move to the next item, please? Because we have Dr. Megan Brom Gleason on the call that can talk to us about the ABA graduate certificate, and I want to be mindful that she has a commitment.
Okay. So we're going to move then to the graduate certificate name change. This is item Roman 4.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you very much for having me. We are proposing a variety of changes to the current graduate certificate in applied behavior analysis. These proposed changes are very long overdue, and they are directly in response to the workforce needs of our graduates and other behavior analysts around the nation with respect to their work directly in school settings. So our changes really target the increased and significant behavior challenges are facing and the lack of preparedness for individuals who are tasked with supporting students with significant behavior challenges. So we are looking to do a number of different things. Firstly, change the name of our longstanding graduate certificate from a grad certificate in applied behavior analysis, which historically was comprised of the courses required to become board certified globally, I suppose, but now in the United States as a behavior analyst, and move towards more clarified name of advanced behavior analysis in schools that makes it more clear to stakeholders, students, that we are specifically training people who are already behavior analysts to support behavior challenges in schools. So this will be very much for individuals who are practicing clinicians in school settings. We're looking to also decrease the number of credits in our graduate certificate. So again, like I stated, historically, our grad certificate was comprised of certification courses. That has now become redundant. We have a master's in applied behavior analysis as well as a 6th year in applied behavior analysis. And the changes to our field from when this grad certificate started at 18 credits originally, a number of years ago, the requirements of the field have changed such that the new accreditation standards require a minimum of 27 credits to become certified. So really our grad certificate has become redundant to our master's and our 6th year program. And so we spent a good bit of time researching the needs of the field and our expertise and what we have to offer here at our ABA program in Southern, and really decided to focus more on school-based behavior analysis in terms of our grad certificate. So we're proposing to decrease credits down to 15 that are very specific courses geared towards advanced practice in schools. And then lastly, we are looking to change our modality to fully online asynchronous. The reason there is at current, there is only one other program that we know of in the United States that trains advanced school-based practitioners in behavior analysis. So what we would like to do is offer our program asynchronously such that we can pull from a national audience in order to increase our enrollment perspectives. And doing that asynchronously allows us to have people from varying time zones. Obviously, these are already practicing behavior analysts, so they are all working professionals. And the asynchronous model is reportedly what working behavior analysts are in favor of. We, in our Academy for the Advancement of Behavior Science, here in our ABA program, we host an annual conference where we have about 400 school-based behavior analysts that attend, who have overwhelmingly supported this program, said it's needed, say they would definitely prefer an asynchronous model. So we're really trying to be responsive to the needs, the very stated needs of the field.
Okay. Questions or comments from the regents?
No.
Okay.
No question.
Motion to approve. I'm sorry, Regent Porth, I'm sorry. No question.
No question.
Motion to approve the graduate certificate name change and modification.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you very much. Thank you for your. Thank you for waiting for us. We go back to the Master of Public Health then.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Brom-Gleason. So this is a SIP code modification of the Master of Public Health, which is designed to align better with the STEM field designation, enabling the program to broaden its offerings and internships and applied practical experience projects. The STEM classification, combined with accreditation from the Council on Education for Public Health, presents a strong opportunity for student recruitment. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, STEM careers are among the fastest growing and highest paying fields in the 21st century. So that's the rationale for the SIP code change.
Okay. I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is approved. Thank you. Thank you. Marine studies, minor name change to marine science. Provost Irwin.
Yeah, trying to keep up.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask again for Dr. Heidkamp to help us out with the change in name.
Yeah, of course, no problem. So all of the changes you're going to be seeing related to our department on this entire agenda are basically a part of an overall restructuring of our programs. We are merged 10 years ago between geography and environmental studies department. And it was basically a major householding time of our entire curriculum, which we ran for 10 years. So our students were very often confused in getting a degree of environmental system and sustainability studies. And a lot of the things, and so we moved towards changing it to a science degree because we're in a STEM field, we're doing science, and the marine studies to marine science minor is part of this overall somewhat stronger branding also for STEM in our department. That's probably the quickest answer I can give.
I take it then this is directly related to the below threshold items dealing with changes in the concentration, etc.
Yeah, they're all that they're related, and the same also the change from Bachelor of Geography to Bachelor of Environmental Studies in Geography. A little bit of context on this is that's also part of a national trend. Most geography departments in the United States, especially at regional schools where they're not quite as big as some of them flagship institutions, are rebranding. But even at the University of Connecticut, the Department of Geography has some god-awful long name now. Geography, Sustainability, Urban Studies, and Community something. And it's a geography problem, a branding and a marketing problem of the discipline of geography in this country, and especially also in the state, because it's not a standalone high school subject. It's summed up in social studies. So me as a European, I always have to shake my head on this because geography is very, very strong, at least in Germany and in the UK. Obviously not over here. So but everything is really part of this increased pressure on our faculty because we're just smaller and we have to do a better job delivering our faculty expertise to a growing student population. And we have to do that in a streamlined way so that things count in multiple spots. The new Bachelor of Arts, Geography and Environmental Studies, a couple of key components there is that we eliminated a concentration in our science-focused degree, and this becomes more of a social science, a Bachelor of Arts focused degree. The degree is also a bit flatter in terms of curriculum and prerequisites, which makes it really good for transfer students. And then kind of linking to this presentation we had at the beginning, where, one goal is to not potentially have too many liberal studies students. It's a 30 credit major that really gets skills into the hands of students so they're workforce ready. So I think it's a tremendous option that we have for our students that might want to do a double major, transfer students that have more than 60 credits already in the bank. I mean, we very often get them to have 70 or 80 credits even. And students that might change later in their undergraduate career towards the major, and adult learners maybe that already come in with credits from somewhere. So I think it fills an important niche, and it does that by combining both environmental studies and geography key skills.
I think this is an important presentation, an important point in what how the programs are evolving, and we appreciate it. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the name change to from to marine science, marine studies?
So
Yeah,
moved.
and I'll second it. It all
Second.
makes good sense. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved. Thank you. The explanation was very helpful, and it's important to see how the programs are evolving and how you're trying to accommodate the needs of the students and the strength of the program. I just want to, I agree with you. Geography is a lost art in the United. During the Iraq War, I had students who had no idea where Iraq was, and this is a very, this is not a good commentary on the state of the world. So thank you. Next, we're not done with you, Provost. Modification of the 11 programs in the BS.
Before we
7
move
to
on,
12,
I'd like to
grade 7 to 12. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Before we move on, I'd like to just give a little context around Dr. Heidkamp's work in his presentation. So just as an example of some of the incredible work I've seen him do with thesis students is mapping of food deserts in the New Haven area, or mapping of access to hospice care in different countries. So it's this really innovative combination of using, I guess, geography techniques, if that's the right way to say it, to understand our modern world. And he's done an incredible job of that. So moving on, this is a modification of 11 programs. So it's the name change. So Bachelor of Science 7 to 12 programs at Southern. So biology, chemistry, earth science, English, French, history, Italian, physics, political science, Spanish, and special education. So it's simply a name change to come in line with current standards.
Okay. Questions or comments? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And second. Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Program is approved. Now we're E, environmental systems and sustainability studies, discontinuation of 1, and name change modification. I think you have discussed this. This actually requires 2 votes. One for the discontinuation and one for the name change. Okay, so we've heard, I think we've heard a very good explanation for why all this is happening. So motion to approve the discontinuation.
So moved.
I'll second it. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Name change. Motion to approve the name change.
So moved.
So moved. I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Both items are approved. Okay, I think we have now reached the below thresholds, which we've talked about. Do you want to say anything about the psychology, just for information for the board members?
I would love to. This comes from my home department of psychology, and I just want to give a little context surrounding this. We have an Office of Psychological Assessment on campus, which has been driven by one of the clinical members of our psychology faculty, and this provides low-cost assessment to students and to the Southern community for things like diagnostics of ADHD, of learning disability, those students that might, for example, need accommodations. And this is quite difficult to get and expensive. So over time, the model is that the faculty member who runs the office will take high-level graduate students and train them, train them in these techniques. And so this we've been working on for many years. It's a certificate which allows individuals to essentially become expert in assessment and testing. And I think this will be kind of a great contribution both to the psychology graduate program numbers, but also it provides access to the community to these needed evaluations.
Any comments? This is an informational item that does not require approval, but it's interest. And you've talked about the sports management. I think you have already talked about. So, Dr. Irwin, thank you for your patience. We appreciate your work, and we appreciate the work that's happening. A lot of important work is happening. So as you have, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Moving on now to Connecticut State. Provost Heineck, are you here?
I am, Chair Bloom. Nice to see you all.
Good to see you. Do you want to start the academic update?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Our campuses are certainly getting ready for commencement. We're very excited to be having 12 separate commencement ceremonies between the 21st and the 27th. I'm happy to report that we estimate that we will be awarding 4,050 credentials this year, which is up from last year, where last year we awarded 3,470. So you can see that's an additional 480 credentials this year, up 14%, thanks to the good work of our faculty and our staff, and of course, our students who achieved those credentials. I will also note that today we are celebrating at Central Connecticut State University our Phi Theta Kappa All Connecticut team. So we're very excited about that event today. And as well, we anticipate in June on the 18th, having our first concurrent enrollment professional development day for all of the high school teachers who teach our courses on their campuses. We're excited because this will be moving us towards NACEP certification, which is something that we'll be working on over the course of the next couple of years. And that really concludes my academic updates for today.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. First item, you have a discontinuation of the ECED Early Childhood Transfer Track AS.
Certainly. So currently there are 2 early childhood education degrees, one that's typically used for transfer and one that's used for career. Both of these degrees actually do provide transfer, so we are looking to eliminate the transfer degree in order to simplify options for students and allow them a stronger foundation in early childhood education. I'm joined today by Professor Nally. Professor Nally, will you kind of give an overview for us?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I am from Three Rivers, and I will just say that this is absolutely supported by all of the campuses. We work together on this. And as Provost Heineck said, it was really, we had 2 programs that were confusing for students to choose between the 2. The credit difference was only about 9 credits. And so we revised our ECEDAS degree to rigorize the curriculum, and it meets the needs of all ECED students, whether they're going transfer or if they're directly going out into the workforce.
Okay. This seems like a very important important step to reduce confusion among the students, if nothing else, which is important. Questions or comments from the regents? Motion to approve. Motion to approve the discontinuation.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Discontinuation is approved. Now you have another complicated situation here with the computer networking security certificate.
We do. So our computer networking security certificate closely aligns with our computer networking certificate, which oftentimes leads to redundancy, which is why we are looking to streamline. I'm fortunate to be joined by Professor Ganal. And Professor Ganal, maybe you can overview this and a number of our below threshold items
Yes,
dealing with anything with computer science, networking, and cybersecurity. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carlos Heineck, thank you. So this one is a little bit separate from the larger package that's a little further down the page, but the computer networking security certificate heavily overlaps with, actually, there's two certificates. One was left off the documentation there. There's a separate cybersecurity certificate that only differs by one course. It's almost identical. And then the program that's listed in your notes, the computer networking, there's a 50% overlap. Removing this certificate will still leave them with a clear networking certificate and a clear cybersecurity certificate. Having this extra one there, which had so much overlap with the other two, just made it difficult to advise, made it for students to decide what they wanted to do, and it really wasn't necessary to have it there.
Okay, so you're also discussing the several below threshold items that are connected to all this.
Right, and that's really a separate set of issues there.
Okay, so let's
That needs to be done separately.
Okay. Motion to approve the discontinuation of the computer network security certificate.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Discontinuation of the certificate is approved.
Thank you.
Let's go down. We'll come back to. Let's go down to the modifications, and then we'll come back to the liberal arts name change. C1.
Certainly. So our liberal arts and science degree is obviously used for transfer to ensure that students have the opportunity to maximize prerequisite general education credits within the major. This particular program modification is the third of three to be approved by the board this year. This one is really focused in liberal arts and sciences to address students who are going into the social and behavioral sciences. I am joined today by Dr. Doninger, and I'm hoping that she can speak to this. Dr. Doninger?
Hi, thank you very much. So yes, this is hopefully our final stop in moving these 3 degrees forward. This is work that started in July 2023, initiated by faculty with no pathway through governance. So we sort of made our own pathway and really looked at how we could best serve students in light of the course progress financial aid rules. So we wanted to be sure that we protected students' financial aid and our enrollment by having 3 distinct degrees that would meet sort of the general categories of either social behavioral sciences and sort of pre-professional studies like teaching, School of Business at UConn, arts and humanities, and STEM. And it had broad buy-in from the liberal arts and sciences coordinators on all of the campuses.
So there's general agreement around this from all the campuses, as I take it.
Yes, there 11 of the campuses signed all 3 of the degrees. Northwestern doesn't have a faculty coordinator for liberal arts, so that was the only one that didn't sign on.
Okay. Motion to approve the modification.
Ira, I have a quick question first.
Sorry, I meant to ask if there were any questions. I apologize. Please go ahead.
This sounds good to me. Is this recommendation consistent with what we talked about at the beginning of the meeting in trying to define more carefully what type of liberal arts degree someone attains, and to help guide them in future studies and so forth?
Yes, that's exactly what it's intended to do.
Yeah.
I was actually a little distressed when I heard the report about the problem is, too many students in general studies and liberal arts. And I would agree about general studies. That is very vague, and it sort of puts a lot of credits together. But liberal arts should be very intentional. Every credit should be half of a bachelor's degree and should be looking at things like whatever is encumbered in the gen ed, the prereqs to the major, so that when a student transfers, they really are going into the upper division and sort of hands-on or occupational courses. That's exactly the purpose.
I appreciate that. And this is the kind of action, Ira and Juanita, we need to make sure the rest of the world knows that we are trying very hard to address some of these issues. So thank you.
Thank
I
you.
agree, and I totally support the as a French major. I'm a very strong proponent of the liberal arts. And I think actually that's one of the challenges we have today is that things have become so specialized, and we have a whole generation that their critical thinking and communication skills and just general, the lack of appreciation of the importance of that discipline is, I hope we can start swinging that pendulum the other way again. So
Yeah. Yeah. Motion to approve and
So moved.
as presented. Second.
and I'll
All
second.
those
Yeah.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion on the modification for liberal arts and sciences approved. Next item, graphic design.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor Doninger. The next agenda item is on our graphic design. We have 3 programs that are being modified, mostly to streamline our core requirements and make it easier for students. I have 3 professors who are here today who can talk about this in more detail. I have Professor Vaz, Professor O'Connor, and Professor Boldarzak. Professor Vaz, are you able to begin the conversation for me?
Yes, sorry. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry about that. My other microphone wasn't working, so I jumped to a different computer. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I would like to start by letting you know that we as all campuses from the Art and Design STC spoke about the need for graphic design changes. So all the changes that we're going to address to you for the modification of these degrees are in relation to meetings that occurred across all campuses so we can make decisions collaboratively and make everyone at each of the campuses aware of the changes that occurred. So I just wanted to start by addressing that. The concern came about with the different degrees. There are, if you look at each of the different categories, initially, there were a number of options that the students could take. And then when they would be transferring over to other colleges, if they didn't select the ideals of category options, there would be issues. So we streamlined the degree to make sure that students were taking the courses that are most ideal for transfer while still allowing some categories, some variations and choices for their specific interest. So I'm just going to highlight one specific area. There was one, and this was probably the one that we noticed the most, was typography. There was typography, illustration, and drawing too. As an example, typography is a course prerequisite for the 3rd year at Southern because it is an important course. So we just want to make sure that the students are getting the right courses they need. And then the last thing I want to address with that is what all our other concern for students was that we had a number of courses that would be on the books for scheduling, and some courses wouldn't fill, and then students were left to scramble and find other choices. So this really is ideal for students kind of in a twofold area, because now we can streamline scheduling and we can streamline the degree so that the students are prepared for what they need. And I can get into more specifics, but if you have any questions, I'll let you and address it at that point. Thank you very much for your time and letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions of Professor Vaz?
No.
Okay. Provost Irwin. Provost Irwin, you want to continue? Provost Heineck, I'm sorry. Do you want to continue?
I think that's the 3 modifications we're doing as a bunch, correct?
Yes, we're doing them together. One action.
Yeah, and we do just need a vote.
We need a vote. Yeah.
Yes.
But you said you had. Is there anybody? When I'm asking, is there anybody else you want to talk at this point?
I think.
Okay.
I think Professor Vaz has talked for the group, but we do have other members here in the event that you have questions.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
for
Okay,
timing purposes, I think that's probably best.
okay. May I have a motion to approve the graphic design modification, 3 programs?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Okay.
Thank you.
Before
Thank
you,
you.
but now we have several below thresholds. I think we particularly, you may want to say a few words about the pathways to elementary education and secondary education, AA, and then we come back to a little bit about the summary on the computer programs.
Certainly, I think what we've tried to work on with the pathway for elementary and secondary education is to be very clear on each of the pathway options so that it better articulates to our 4-year partners. I do have Professor Nally here who can also speak to this. Professor Nally, do you wish to speak to this?
Sure, absolutely. So specifically what was happening in the past is that the pathways to teaching careers was encompassing both elementary and secondary education, but based on certification differences in curriculum, we wanted to clarify that there are 2 specific tracks. It was actually very challenging for advising because education is also a dual major. So what all of the campuses and the discipline-specific faculty, we got together that offer these pathways, and we're just trying to separate. We're just taking them and separating them to clarify for the specific early elementary ed in one, secondary ed in the other.
Mhm.
Any questions from the regents on this? Okay. The last group of items, information of the computer information set, networking, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Thank
the
you.
majority of these deal with the change in credit for networking 1, networking 2, and networking 3 from 3 credits to 4. But Professor Ganal is here and he can overview the majority of the changes for us.
Okay.
Sure, I can do that. Before I start, I just wanted to point out that the web design certificate is a separate item.
Yeah.
So you have
Yes,
to cycle
it
back.
was. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So as Professor Heineck said, we have 3 networking courses, networking 1, 2, 3, that are currently 3 credits, 3 contact towers. We learned after teaching them that they really need to be 4 contact towers to meet course objectives and program objectives. If we're going to increase the contact hours from 3 to 4, we also want to increase the associated number of credits from 3 to 4 to pay for the course and also to recognize the additional work that the students are doing. So there are a number of reasons why we need to go from 3 contact hours to 4 contact hours. One I've already mentioned, we just need the extra time to meet the course and program outcomes. We began discussions with CCSU about articulation. We want to be able to articulate our networking courses and degree, and also our cybersecurity courses and degree. And in conversations with the faculty at CCSU, they need to see additional time in those 3 networking courses in order to accept them for transfer. They won't accept them currently at 3 hours. They want more lab time, more instructional time. So we need to do that in order to have articulation agreements with CCSU. We need to meet the standards set by outside accrediting bodies. We are Cisco academies. CCSU is a Cisco academy. We will have 7 CT State campuses be a Cisco academy. We use their curriculum, and this curriculum prepares them for certifications, credentialing, and Cisco technology. It's called a CCNA credential. If we are to be a Cisco academy, they ask us to spend more time, devote more time to these courses. They need to be more contact hours. We're also pursuing recognition from this is a long term, the NSA, National Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity Defense. CCSU already has this status. If CCSU is going to articulate with us, we also need to have that status. But having that status will help the students they'll attract more students, but it'll also help them with their job search. If they can say they went to a school that had this designation. That's the same thing with the CCNA. If they say they took Cisco Academy courses and they began to prepare for the CCNA test, that will help them be workforce ready, the topic we talked about earlier. And then in general, it's just student success. The students will do better in the course if they can spend more time with the instructor and more time working with the equipment and the software. etc. So a variety of reasons why we want to do this. Now, so once we have those 3 courses boosted from 3 credits and 4 hours to 4 credits, and sorry, 3 credits, 3 hours to 4 credits, 4 hours, it affects all these other degrees. Okay. So some of them, it doesn't change the total credit count at all. If we have 3 courses, well, if we have 4 courses at 3 hours each, and we boost 3 of them up to 4, we can just remove a course and we'll still have either 4 times 3 or 3 times 4, total of 12 credits for the degree. A couple of cases, adding an extra credit brings you up to 63 credits for the degree. So you can remove a course and drop back down to 60. So that will help the students. In other cases, maybe you do add an extra credit. So on average, we really don't see it as a credit account across the board for all these degrees. Some places it goes up a little bit, some places go down. But certainly an advantage to the student and articulation and outside accrediting and job readiness outweigh adding an extra credit to a degree.
Thank you very much. Provost Heineck, anything you want to add?
No, I think he covered it well.
He did, yes, indeed. Provost Heineck, thank you very much. This has been very helpful and very informative, and you have a lot of moving pieces going on. So we, thank you for your work, for your important work here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Bloom,
Yes.
I apologize that I have to leave. I know you still have a quorum for the other
Yes.
action items, and I will be able to hear, at least on our recording live, the rest of the presentations from Western and Central. But I do apologize that I have to leave now.
Provost James, thank you
Okay.
for this meeting. We knew was going to be a little long, so
thank you to all of the faculty and the staff for this comprehensive. I mean, I was teasing Chair Bloom about the fact that it was like a 500-page deck, and
Yeah.
I said, so if it takes us that long to review it, I can only imagine how much effort goes into your need to prepare it for our benefit. And I do thank you for the comprehensiveness and the cohesiveness. And the thoughtfulness that you put into all of these efforts. And it's really, it's amazing. It's daunting to see how much is happening on all of our campuses
Yes.
at all our institutions. So thank you for that. And I'm sorry I can't stay until the end, but appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Provost Heineck, again. We move on to Central. Provost Costellas, are you here?
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
Welcome. Do you wish to present the academic update first, please?
Sure. So I'll share a couple details similar to what's been presented to. We're also thankful that we are up in enrollments as well. And our first time full-time goal was 1,500, but we're over 1,700. So we're excited about that. But now planning lots of additional classes before the faculty end for the semester. So we're busy with that, but it's a good problem to have. Also, we'll share that we were just recognized for achieving the designation for a certified financial planner in our BS in finance, and it is the first designation, the CFP designation in Connecticut. So we're excited about that. Also, some of our journalism students, faculty and students traveled last May with some students from some other majors to Brazil, but they did a piece and reporting from some of the rainforests on climate change. And that piece came in first place from the New England Emmy division of the National Academy of TV Arts and Sciences. So we're thrilled for that recognition for our students. I'll also just echo, what Julie mentioned regarding the LSAMP. We're, devastated but not surprised at the same time, given the landscape that we're all living in as well. But just also want to thank Southern's leadership in responding to that, and also the meetings. And I know that on campus, we are trying to see any ways of being able to support some of the students that are already in the cohort. And just to share one piece, the the first cohort of students have been working all year on an interdisciplinary project together, and they've been building a PhD robot in the chemistry lab. So they're wanting to continue. So we're trying to make sure that we're finding ways and seeing how we can continue to support our students. So lots of good things going on. And also, I'll just mention one more thing, also regarding dual and concurrent enrollment, since that was pointed out in the initial presentation, but also from some other colleagues, that we are continuing to expand in that area as well. And we are in the final stages of implementing the dual enroll software that UConn uses for their ECE for registering, because one of the biggest challenges that we have found regarding the increase in enrollments is the registration process and the acknowledgement of the policies and the withdrawal calendars, since the K-12 academic calendar is so different than ours and so forth. So we are looking forward to the implementation of that and how that will impact further growth in that area as well.
Okay, thank you. Your first item is the modification of the physical education certificate. You want to talk about that?
Sure. So this is really a no credit change, but does reach the threshold of having to go through the modification. They have made some changes in response to some of their praxis scores, and moving some of their 2-credit courses to 3-credit courses. So they're bundling some things together for the skills pedagogy courses that they teach. So allows more flexibility in teaching those. And they also added a credit to their intro class. And there was also removal of one of the gen ed requirements that was a prereq that is no longer, and then they were able to add the requirement of 1 credit to one of the science courses that are required. And also, just as a quick overview with as far as enrollments.
That's what I was going to ask you about enrollment.
Sure. Yeah. So in 2021, between our pre-majors and our professional program majors, we had an enrollment of 80. We went down to 74 in 2022. In 23, we went back up to 81, and then this past fall we were at 89. Our conferrals, our degree completions kind of go back and forth between 26, 10, 12, and then back up to 21, because we know a lot of our students are on different pathways, but usually average, anywhere between 15 and 20 or more degree completions each year.
And what is the retention rate in the program from?
We don't usually typically look at the retention individually to cross programs, because the retention cohort is based on the full-time, first-time, full-time, and drilling down into all of by major. The numbers are so small and doesn't give a true representation, because a lot of our students are transfer students or will, change majors, that the numbers of looking at the retention, are not, representative of the whole of the numbers that we have. For example, if we have, our enrollments this past fall were at 89, and our retention cohorted number for those are in very much smaller. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head for each individual program, but they're very small.
I have one other quick question. I take it there is still demand for phys ed teachers.
Yes, it's not a shortage area like some of the other content areas, but there still are students getting jobs.
Okay.
Ira, this is Rick. I had a similar question. Earlier we talked about health studies and wellness studies. Does this particular course of studies lend itself to expansion in that manner?
Yeah, so the curriculum that's in place is set up for our students to be cross-endorsed in health education. If they did not want to be teaching in K to 12 and want to go in a different direction, they would have that foundation from all of the sciences as well as the health degree, content area to be able to go in a different direction should they not want to teach anymore.
Okay, so this does prepare students to potentially do something beyond becoming a phys ed teacher. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, the curriculum is already embedded to be able to have the folks be able to cross endorse in teaching health as well. But if they did not want to go into teaching anymore, they would have a foundation and a stepping stone. But depending on the direction that they would want to go in, they may or may not have to have additional certifications or a master's degree in a different direction. But the foundational skills in the sciences, as well as in the content areas in health, they have a solid foundation.
Just sorry to keep asking questions. Do we make that known that this particular course of studies allows for that when a student's thinking about what they want to do?
You mean for the cross endorsement in health? Yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, and we don't really advertise if you don't want to do this major anymore, then you can do other ones. But that does come up in conversations with advising if they want to choose a different direction, but we don't have it. We don't really want to market them not doing the degree, or so forth, if that makes sense.
No, I respect that, and I'm out of my depth, if I'm honest, in asking these questions. Just curious. So thank you, and thanks, Ira.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess, would you like to move this item, Regent Porth?
Yes, I'll move this item.
I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is approved. Okay, so we have the modification, phys ed is approved. The endowed chair appointment, Provost Costello.
Sure. So we have an endowed chair in Polish and Polish American Studies. This position itself is not supported through the Endowed Foundation. The Endowed Foundation carries scholarships as well as funding for putting on the activities that the endowed chair will have release time to be able to do to make sure that we engage within the community and have events and continue into other opportunities and connections with a lot of our communities and our partners right here within New Britain and beyond. So even though this position is not supported by the endowment, the funding for the actual position, that's why it is a tenure track as opposed to some of our other endowed chairs are for temporary. But this one is university funded, that it does align with the endowed fund. So we are fortunate to be able to bring on Dr. Carolina Kolpak. She had just finished up her PhD at Yale University. She also did her master's at Yale too, and she did her undergraduate in history and international studies in 2014 from DePaul University, and is well-respected researcher, and she's looking forward to coming on board to continue to teach and expand our Polish studies, as well as connect with our community that has been looking forward to her coming on board.
Questions? Do we have what kind of course of study do we have in Polish studies? Is there a major? Is there
a minor?
Minor. Okay.
Yes.
And how many students do we generally have in the minor?
Off the top of my head, I would have to look. I would say around 15 to 20. And actually on Monday, I am attending one of their capstone experiences that was funded through one of the endowed funds that did a capstone experience this past year regarding, I forget the name of their topic. That's why I'm going on Monday. Otherwise, I might know now. But they're presenting their research capstone that was supported through this endowment as well. And we have a number of other fellowship and faculty exchanges and student exchanges that is also part of this as well. So although the major there's no major and the minor is a little bit smaller, there is a lot of activity within the Polish community and activities for our students to engage and do study abroad and exchanges and so forth.
Do you have an idea of what areas the students are minor in Polish studies major in? You may not off the top of your head, but I'm just, if you.
No, there's a lot from various majors, but mainly from the area of history, but it's not exclusive from history. They do get some interest in other areas. I know, for example, we have a student who's in a psychological science major that's minoring in Polish studies.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the endowed chair appointment?
I'll move that.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approved. Recommendation to the board. Do you want to say anything about the Provost Gustavus, about the below threshold items? Is there any?
I mean, I'm happy to if there are questions. I mean, some of these are just more opportunities in response to what our students are asking for, as far as some of the tracks, for example, in the biomolecular sciences, as far as research, or if they want to go more in the medical area. And also just some other stackable certificates that can stand alone, as well as stack into existing majors that are not do not require additional courses, but are allowed to be packaged so that students from other majors can be able to benefit from those as well. And our sports studies, I'll just mention too, because this was in response to our Vance endowed chair that I brought forward a year ago as well. That our focus for that Vance chair, which is a combination between our journalism and our communication department. In conversation, they are focusing on sports this year, and we have had a high demand regarding wanting sports studies. So this is the first step in looking at trying to introduce a specific minor for that.
It's interesting. It's interesting. The other one that seems very timely is the supply chain management certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's new, I gather. I mean, that
Yes,
will be.
it is. Yep.
And we have the expertise to do this.
Yes, because we have a master's degree in it, and also our MBA has a concentration in that. So we have that in two expertise in multiple schools, in our School of Business and Engineering, Science, and Technology.
Provost Gustavus, I think, thank you. These are below threshold items. They don't require approval, but it's important for us to understand the directions that you are going in. So this is very, very helpful. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving to the west, is Provost Haggadas here?
Good morning, Regent Bloom.
Good morning. I saw you were here earlier, and thank you for your staying power.
No, it's good to hear all the good stuff that's going on across our institutions. I have some campus updates and no other curricular business today.
Yeah, you have. So your report, yes.
Yeah. So we have Dr. Jesse Bernal will be the new president at Western Connecticut State University. I'm sure many of you have heard. Dr. Bernal currently serves as the Vice President of Strategy and University Initiatives, Chief of Staff to the President at the Grand Valley State University of Michigan. He's also the Chief Executive of Public Charter Schools. Dr. Bernal begins his new role on July 11th, and he is here on campus today, meeting lots of people, meeting members of the Westcon community, and energized and ready to lead. That's why I'm a little distracted, because I have to
Yes,
dash and go and find him in a few minutes, and it's all good. We're very excited. We have also appointed a new dean of the Ansell School of Business. Dr. Seamak Sholje joins us from William Patterson University. He's served as Dean of Business at 4 universities, including 2, both Central Connecticut State University in the past and the School of Business and Economics at SUNY Plattsburgh, that he led both to initial AACSB accreditation. CMAC will join us on July 14th, a few days after a new president. So we're very pleased with those appointments. On enrollment projections, similarly, they are trending upwards, and new undergrad student deposits are up as of a few days ago, 44% versus fall on this date last year. Registration is up 6% versus the same time last year. We're seeing close to an 8% increase year over year with our graduate enrollment as of today. But historically, a little over 50% of all graduate fall registrations occur afterwards, after this time. So we will continue to see changes in those enrollments and going forward. But we're looking at seeing about 50 more students versus last year enrolled in our graduate programs. This is aligned with our strategic prioritization of graduate international career services as well. So overall enrollment projections, which we have put at around 4% within our proposed biennium budget, are looking solid. Today, even though it's a pretty wet and gray day up here in Danbury, it is World Research Day, and this is a great event. Really enjoyed it last year. Our students and our faculty have been collaborating on research projects, and they are, as we speak, presenting their work. There's poster displays, and in about half an hour I have to go and give the awards. So it's a very happy, positive day, and a great celebration, I think, of that important work where our students get to experience research early on in their career. As a point of pride, earlier in this meeting, you approved for the full board the BOR awards, both for faculty teaching and for faculty research. I have to see this as a point of pride because both of the awards went to Westcon faculty this year, Dr. Schofield, teaching, and Dr. Carlos Santimenatides Lopez. So we are very, very proud. I'm very proud. And this is a recognition of the ongoing work and excellence here at Westcon within our faculty. So thank you, Regents, for approving that to move forward to the full board this morning. And finally, as always, I want to give a brief update where we're at with our accreditation work related to NECI. Our final focused evaluation report is very much in progress. It is a very busy time of the year where a lot of departments are submitting final reports. So much of the work is now being collated as part of the end of the year, both the committees that have been specifically involved in various areas, department reports, Senate committee, subcommittee, particularly the assessment committee, which has been involved as one of the main standards we have been addressing, as well as the Gen Ed committee, as we have working to fully operationalize new Gen Ed framework starting this fall. So all of that is flowing in, and that will be synthesized and summarized in June. I have a busy June ahead. It's all good, though. The 5-year financial sustainability plan is also in progress, as you know, and the future board support and commitment will also be included in our report as a major area of emphasis that we need to address. And in all of this work, a lot of it is data-driven and providing evidence specific in terms of providing evidence of progress. I'm showing a network connection. Are we good? Can you still hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
you
Thank
disappeared for about 2 seconds,
Okay.
but it's working now.
I apologize. Initial drafts will need to be reviewed by our incoming president. He has a lot of experience in the area of accreditation, so he and I will be busy back and forth reviewing that work, but I want to respect that when he arrives, we'll need to review it so he feels comfortable with things moving forward, and we'll also move it forward through appropriate board committees for information and for your comments, as you've asked and requested for in previous meetings. We have a goal of a presentation at the June 28th board meeting, subject to your approval. And then the goal is still set for submittal in July, probably mid to late July. That gives us that buffer of time to receive your input and comment. The site visit is still fixed to be October 5th through 7th. There has been a slight change to one of the site team visits based the area of finance. I've sent details, as you know, Regent Bloom, to yourself and the Chancellor's office, and an overview and structure of our final report. So a lot of hard work is going on. It's a world of activity. And that's where we are at. Happy to receive any questions that any of the regents have.
Regent Porth?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations for your 2 award-winning faculty members. I think that's great and testament to what is happening on the campus. Provost Hagedis, thank you very much.
Thank you, and excuse me, I have to leave the meeting.
I understand.
Apologies.
You have to be in 3 places at once today. I understand.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Eastern, as Dr. Ainsley Dr. Diamond is going to substitute for the provost. They are all occupied out at Eastern at the moment.
Yes, thank
Dr.
you, Regent
Diamond.
Bloom. In keeping with the trend of all of our provosts having multiple activities today, equally as important, I just wanted to give a brief update from Eastern, just to say that in July, Eastern will welcome its next provost, Dr. Cheryl Wilson. Dr. Wilson comes to Eastern from SUNY Old Westbury, where she served as the Dean of Arts and Sciences. Prior to SUNY Old Westbury, Dr. Wilson's held several positions at Stevenson University, including Dean of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences, Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, and Interim Dean of the Brown School of Business and Leadership. She previously held academic appointments at the University of Baltimore and Indiana University of Pennsylvania. She is a scholar of Jane Austen. She's the author, editor, and co-editor of 7 books, as well as numerous articles on 19th century English literature and culture. And while we are going to greatly miss Interim Provost Ben Polly, he has been such a value added to the hard work that the provosts do collectively, and his leadership at Eastern. He's not going very far. He will return to the faculty, but he also will return to his interim vice provost role, which we all are pleased about, because he's been such a value added to this group. Again, that's just the one announcement that he asked me to share with the group.
Thank you very much on behalf of his behalf. And it's Jane. It's interesting that she's a real liberal arts Jane Austen scholar. Okay. Charter Oak, Dr. Farrar, is he here?
Dr. Edgerton will be filling in for Dr. Ferreira. Okay. Cindy, are you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Welcome, Dr.
Yes.
Welcome.
Okay. So yes, Provost Ferreira apologizes for not being able to attend today. He is giving the keynote speech at the CT Learns and Works conference on AI implications for the workforce and training providers. So that's what he's off doing. So he gave me a few notes to share with you all. We are one of the CSCU institutions that are part of the ASU University Design Institute. That's focusing on a transfer initiative. So a handful of our staff were there last week at those meetings. Of particular note, transfer is one of our pillars in our strategic management, strategic enrollment management plan, SEM plan, which we've really been working hard on as a college. We have a handful of committees working on this strategic enrollment plan. So the transfer work will be really ingrained in our SEM work. So it was great. That was great timing for us. Our graduation will be held June 12th at the Bushnell Theater. And from our RSVP list so far, we're anticipating our largest in-person graduation to date at Charter Oak. And lastly, we still have a few months to go before the end of our fiscal year, but we're projecting to have about a 20% increase in applications year over year. So early indications look really strong for fall 2025. In particular, we are seeing a rise in our technology programs, such as software development and cybersecurity. We hope the new BS in data analytics and the new AI practitioner certificate launching in fall 2025 will also be a contributor to this rise in our tech programs. And that's all he had for the group today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have added to the agenda presentation from the System Office of Academic and Student Affairs for information about initiatives that are ongoing there. We'll start with Dr. Diamond and then Dr. O'Day Stevens thereafter.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Always lovely to be the last, preventing you all getting to lunch. So I promise that this will be brief. And Cindy teed me up just beautifully. The one item, there's a lot going on at the system office, but the one that I thought that I would focus on at the tail end of this meeting is exactly what Cindy messaged. CSCU has partnered with Arizona State University's Design Accelerator project to enhance transfer pathways between the CSU's institutions. And this is a $250,000 grant funded 8-month. Okay, it's an 8-month initiative. It's project-based leadership. It's a leadership development program through their Design Institute. The initiative includes design sessions, mentoring to build capacity for innovation. The individual teams from our system are CT State, Charter Oak, Central, and Western. So the teams get the chance to work with design experts and mentors to structure, develop, and refine ideas for implementation. What is really different about this experience is that it is at both times a bottom-up and a top-down initiative. So we spent all day last Thursday and Friday with the individuals from those campuses who are doing the work of transfer. And transfer, as we all know, hits different parts of student services, academic advising. So those people were coming together. When I talk about the top down, this is the first initiative that I've been involved in where the presidents are actively engaged in this work. So the teams are going to work together for a matter of a couple of months, and then they literally pitch their ideas to their presidents. So it implements a audience that they normally wouldn't get the chance to do this level of interaction about what this work is and what they've developed. So it's a very interesting model. It's professional development, it's leadership development. So we're very excited about how this is going to develop and what ideas are generated from the staff and faculty that are involved.
Great.
So if anyone has any questions, I can answer them now, or I can hand it off to Dr. O'Day Stevens.
let's go with Dr. Stevens.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be even briefer. I just wanted to share an upcoming event that we're going to be having with Student Success. On May 15th, various individuals from across the campuses will be gathering for our very first Student Success Council Summit that will be gathering at Charter Oak as a team to do some planning. Student Success has many factors associated to it. Student success touches both the classroom as well as outside of the classroom and is a very multifaceted concept. We have members from all the campuses coming together to do some strategic planning. Our focus is going to be two arenas. We're going to focus on mental health as well as academic tutoring from across the system. Our focus is to look at the current resources on our various campuses to share those resources. We're going to look at national trends. We're going to explore the data that we're currently collecting from our various campuses. We're going to talk about the data that maybe we need to be collecting to assess on our campuses to see how it's impacting our student persistence and retention across our campuses, and maybe talk about what we want to track in those specific arenas on our campuses and how we want to inform our work with our students regarding student success. So that's coming on May 15th, and we have a team, interdisciplinary team from across our campus that includes our vice presidents for student affairs, as well as some folks from our tutoring centers and our mental health experts from across the system that are gathering. And thank you to Charter Oak for hosting us. And that concludes my update.
Dr. Stevens, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody who has stayed with us through the end of the meeting, which I'm about to adjourn. I wish everybody a good day and a good weekend. And again, thanks. So I hereby gavel the meeting. I'll make the motion to adjourn. I'll second the motion to adjourn, and I will declare the meeting adjourned officially. Kayla, would you leave it
Thanks.
up for me? Rick, are you still here? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I am. I just wanted to say thank you
I
to
would have asked you to make the motion to adjourn.
No problem. I wanted to thank everyone too. A lot of work went into this meeting. A lot of good decisions, I think, have been put forth. So thank you. And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second, motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
And just give us one moment to end the live stream.
Okay.
Okay, live stream has stopped.
Thank you, Ben.
And just